Good evening. There's less than 3 weeks to Judgment Day. Hopefully, everyone's making some kind of progress, including myself. Hopefully, we're all making progress on our teshuvah. One way to know when Judgment Day is if it's clear sky where you're at, and you can usually see the moon. You can look up at the moon in about 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks now. But right around 3 weeks, something like that. But Rosh Chodesh Elul was the new moon, and Rosh Hashanah, which is Judgment Day, will be when the new moon is also. The first of Tishrei, which according to this, it says is the 26th of September. So a little over three, or actually, it's pretty much 3 weeks, because Rosh Hashanah kind of starts on at sundown on Sunday the 25th, but the stuff that the Goyim are excluded from doesn't start till the next day, or at least as far as I know, which is not a whole lot. This is all really new to me. At least paying this close attention, and not just doing whatever I feel like, which is really good. That's a stupid plan for a person to just do what they feel like. I mean, it seems good, but it's not really good. But I want to talk about the weekly parashah, the Torah portion from last week. Rabbi Reuben says that the time where you're supposed to read the weekly Torah portion or talk about it is the week that it happened, not like a week late or next week. But Rabbi Reuben says you shouldn't try to go over something unless you've at least learned it one time. That's the very, very bare minimum requirement to do something like this, which is, I guess, mostly this is kind of to reinforce my own learning. But each week I try to meet, like I intend to try to start reading the Torah portion earlier so I can do it more properly and have more time once and then twice and then the third time with commentary and really delve into it. But I end up just trying to get the 3 times done all in Shabbat. And usually it takes me like hours and hours. And I thought this last week was the first week I'd taken notes in like a couple months, or give or take 6 weeks at least, something like that. But I looked and I actually took notes last week, so that's definitely a sign I'm in better shape physically and mentally. So that's wonderful. But the amazing thing was somehow I managed to finish it, like, finish reading it by like before noon, which usually does not happen. At least not without a lot of toil and effort. But I'll stop pacing and standing while I read it so much, so it's not so not such a toll. But this week has some great insights. Lots of sources for different mitzvot. And as I was reading, I recalled something I first read a couple years ago. I think almost 2 years ago exactly. I found it. I can't remember where I saw it first, but the weird thing was I saw a reference to it in like a list of like a crop list from some like anti-Semitic like meme that was going around, and it listed like it was like some weird crop list that for some reason had the mitzvah to not destroy fruit trees when you lay siege to a city, or like I can't remember if that was what was said, but it's Deuteronomy 19 or 2019 to 2020. Is the tree of the field a man that should be besieged by you? But one of the first things that I took a note on was Deuteronomy 16:21. You shall not plant an Asherah tree, or no, it says you shall not plant an Asherah of any tree near the altar of the Lord thy God, which thou shalt make thee. An Asherah was like I think it's kind of like a lodgepole pine or something. It's like a really straight, tall tree. And the Goyim, the 7 nations that were in the land of Canaan, would worship these trees, and they would cut them down or plant them outside where they would worship their idols, where they had these, temples of idolatry. And there's, I think Rashi says on at least one of these verses where, like, Yeah, on 1621, Rashi says you're not allowed to plant a tree on the Temple Mount. But one of the other things he says is that, like, some of the things that the Goyim do, like the idol worshippers that, take something. He says there's like certain things that once the Goyim take it and integrate it in some part of their idolatry, that it becomes totally an abomination and forbidden. And an Asherah tree or a pole is one of those things. But I was thinking about the Christmas tree. Sorry, I didn't have the guts to tell you the truth back, before the holy pagan holiday, not HOLY, but WHOLLY, holy, like completely pagan and idolatrous holiday of Christmas. Because even if somehow, which is not not the case and not possible, but even if the New Testament wasn't 100% idol worship and garbage, even still, the holiday, the holiday in the winter that most people celebrate on December 25th is completely idolatrous. I mean, don't take my word for it. If you want to know the truth, you just do any kind of basic research on what all this stuff is and where it comes from, like the tree and the Yule log and Santa Claus. See, God, is so merciful. He for anyone that really wants to know the truth, he puts all that stupid, disgusting garbage in there. So it's it should be plain and obvious and clear that what you're doing is not right. If that's what if that's what you're looking for. He also gives people plenty of excuses if all they're looking for is to fulfill their own desires. 16 Deuteronomy 16:22. Neither shalt thou set up any pillar which the Lord thy God hates, which pretty much every European country and all over America, there are just gobs and gobs of pillars everywhere, and not just like architectural design things, but like specific Egyptian idolatry, like flat out. We live in Egypt, like just so there's no mistake in it. Welcome to Mitzrayim. Oh, this is what it was. Rashi says on this verse 16:22 that the pillars used to be allowed, but the Canaanites use it for idolatry. So even even to use it in a way associated with, the only real God is forbidden. And of course, there's a verse that talks about, if there's an idol worshiper, 17:2 to 3, anyone, basically cast off the yoke and transgressed his covenant and gone and worshipped and served other gods, either the sun or the moon or any host of heaven, which I have not commanded. The sun. And this week's Torah portion is one of the sources for the commandment to obey the rabbis, obey the judges, the priests, the Levites, and to the judge that shall be in those days. Which means even if the temple is destroyed and there are no more Kohanim, there will always be judges, because if there aren't any judges, that means the world is destroyed, because the Torah, there will be no Torah. This week's Torah portion is also, I believe, the source for why there's a death penalty for going against the rabbis. There's only one. For a Jew, the penalty for theft is repayment of twice the amount stolen. And there's varying degrees of punishment, but for transgressing laws from the that the rabbis made, that the sages made and put in place, it's all a death penalty, even for the Jews. And 17:11. Oh, I think 17:9. Rashi says, and to the judge, even if it's not a Kohen, these are the only judges you have, and they still must be obeyed. Or maybe that's my rewording, but it's somewhere it says, like, in one of the verses, Rashi's commentary says, if like if one of the judges in the gates where in the city that you live in can't you know can't judge a matter honestly, or the truth is beyond them, they're obligated to take it to higher courts. All the good stuff in the world, like every idea and concept that is good, always has a source in the Torah. All the concepts that people put into place these days aren't always as good as they should be. It's definitely not easy. So can't judge too harshly. 17:11, you shall not deviate from the sentence which they shall tell thee to the right hand or to the left. And Rashi says, even if they say the right is the left or the left is the right, do not deviate from their judgments. That's one of the things why it's important to have faith in the sages, because it's the rules that God put in place that we have to follow if we want anything good. And if you know, if whoever the ruling judges are in the world at the time, or even if it's just the person that's following the ruling or the halakha, or whatever ruling that a posek hands down, even if it's only the person that is not a Torah scholar, even if they just have Yirat Shemayim and they're doing what they're doing for the sake of heaven because that's what God commanded. It really doesn't even matter if that God forbid that person or that rabbi in that position. It wouldn't even matter if they were not 100%, didn't have 100% Yirat Shemayim. Because God still makes huge exceptions for people that follow the law to a degree that we should, that most people probably never will. That's one of the horrible things about the vaccine garbage, is that and another reason why a person has to have a source to count on for who they go by, and not like the sages say, if you're gonna pick the leniencies of one side of the Gemara and the stringencies of the other side, such a person is, I guess, a fool and a blind person. Yeah, you have to go by your rabbi, and the Masorah is to go by the majority, not, at least on most matters. I think there's a few where it deviates from the majority, but not very many. It's it's so important, and it's like intense, I guess, is that I forget what which sage it was, but there was an argument between like one like genius sage who was pretty much beyond everyone in his Torah wisdom, and then all the rest of the sages that were alive at the time. I got to the point where like he brought God into his arguments to try to prove that he was right, and that not to prove he was right, but to prove that what he was saying was the truth, and that's what the Holocaust should have been or should be. And God split a tree, and he made the river run uphill. And the sages said, sorry, we don't learn Torah from lightning and split trees, or from rivers. And then a voice came out from heaven that said, why are you bothering my son? Don't you know the halakha is, halakha is like him? And I say, sorry, we don't learn Torah from a back call, from a heavenly voice. God gave us rules that we have to go by, and so they put him on harem, on a ban, and God didn't like that, and he was about to thrash the world and rip it in half. When the sages that put him on harem, they started praying to God and asked, explaining to him, which is just kind of funny because like God didn't know what their motivation was. But they said, we please stop. We didn't do this for our own sake. We weren't arguing to be right or for our pride or for our ego. You gave us rules in your Torah, and we're following them. And if we were to let it go on, there would be essentially two Torahs, and people wouldn't know, which to follow. And it would essentially, rip the nation of Israel in two, to have, two sets of halakot to follow. So God stopped destroying the world. And yeah, 1712 I think is the source for the death penalty against the rabbis, or going against. It's not like a real death. It's not like a court death penalty. At least not certainly anymore. It's a heavenly death penalty. Deuteronomy 17:12, and the man that will act presumptuously and will not hearken to the priest that stands to minister before the minister there before the Lord thy God, or to the judge, that man shall die, and you shall put away the evil from Israel. And Deuteronomy 18:10 talks about various forms of idolatry and like divination and witchcraft. And the first one it mentions is, there must not be found among you anyone that makes his son or daughter pass through the fire, which is how Moloch was worshipped. or they use as divination, a soothsayer, or an enchanter, or a witch. In the Rashi commentary, that's where he says that Moloch is passes through the fire. One of Rabbi Reuben's students had a good video a few months back about how I can't remember what his kiddush was on the Avodah Zarah, the idolatry of Moloch today. Or how he linked it together, but basically he said that sending your kids to public school or anywhere that's not like 100% aligned with the Torah is essentially like sending your kids, offering them up to Moloch. And if you see some of the stuff that goes on in some of the public schools, it's really not shouldn't be hard for even someone that doesn't really believe in the Torah to want to think twice about things. God help us all. And the divination is like consulting a stick, kind of like water diviners, but they would do it for like all kinds of weird stuff. And the enchanter, Rabbi Akiva says, is those who look for auspicious times to like start work or plant or do all kinds of other stuff depending on like signs in the stars and stuff. And what the sages say that those are those who delude by optical deception, because it's I forget what I think the root for what the Hebrew is for enchanter is either the same or similar to the word for eye, which I think is ayin or ayin. Ayin. It's like I forget how it's spelled. I think it's ayin yud noon or something. Long way to go before that's something to think too much on. Delude by optical deception. A sorcerer, one who makes predictions based on signs like a deer crossed this path, or a black cat, or a bird, or whatever. That's one thing I learned a while back. That is from Rabbi Reuben. He said, before he really started learning Torah, he didn't know, but him and his wife were both having a really hard time, and his wife was like at her wits' end, and she was praying to God to give her a sign, and you're not supposed to do that. You can, beg God to help you or end it all. You can do that. Give you the strength and bring the salvation to make you be able to, withstand the trial that you're going through, or to just, pluck you out of the world. But you're not supposed to kill yourself, and you're not supposed to ask for a sign. A person really, also shouldn't really look for signs either. Especially, especially us that have no real idea what they might possibly mean. It's one thing to like see some kind of lesson or something, or like how I do like Musar in the dirt. Or speaking of that, the dirt loves to teach me Musar and Torah. That's one of the advantages of, for me anyway, of growing my, or I guess growing food, like putting stuff in the dirt and God growing the food. Of me thinking I have some some part in it, other than just being a puppet. But the squirrels are really going crazy here. But it's it's really good. It's a constant test of emunah and bitahon in God. Like just tons and tons of moths. Or really not that many, but they lay a lot of eggs and a lot of caterpillars. Wow. I finally I planted some collards the first week of July. And I didn't realize they grow. It didn't seem like 60 days from seed seems like really fast for. I cut a whole bunch and cleaned them, and I think it took me, I don't know, probably 2 hours just to pick all the leaves and clean most of the bugs off and inspect them and wash them, and like another 45 minutes or something to chop them all up and steam them in the microwave a bit, and then put them in the bags and freeze them. It's definitely cheaper to buy food at the store, but I'd rather do this, I think. For one, it's fewer trips outside, so I don't have to be so. Sometimes I feel like I would like to have like horse blinders on when I go to the store, or wear like those blind people glasses and walk with a cane just to not have to look at even the corner of immodesty. But I don't know if that's too realistic. So the best option is to try to minimize the number of times I have to go into the store, go anywhere really, and then be strategic and pray to God for the strength and to clear the path from filth as much as I can. Oh, I learned something really good from how's it going, guys? I'm doing amazing. I hope you guys are doing well also. This month is, I don't mean the month of the Goyim, whatever, September. I mean the month of Elul. The month of Elul is so amazing. Just God's God's infinite mercy. But before I get to Elul, I was right before this. I was watching or listening to Musar Perkeva at 23, and there's a Rabbi Reuben is this sure is like at another somewhere. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but there's another guy who is like doing a daf yomi, like reading a page of Gemara, and like the first like 8 or 9 minutes or something, he's reading this page of Gemara, and one of the last things he says is every time a person gets a miracle, it takes something from their olam haba, from any merits that they may have in the next world, to whatever cardboard box that they may have amassed for themselves in Shemayim in heaven. If a person prays, or at least like relies on miracles too much without doing as much effort as we possibly can. I mean, even if we don't, even if it's like just a miracle that we need to stay alive, even if we did try, it still takes away some more merits in heaven. So it's certainly good not to rely on miracles. Primarily because a person never knows if they have enough merits, or even merit an olam haba in the good place, like Rabbi Lev Lieb says. But Elul is so amazing, and a lot of the writings of the sages and various rabbis on the month of Elul, and like the time of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they talk about how the nation of Israel is uh, so fortunate and blessed to be afforded the mercy and opportunity to do teshuva in the month of Elul, and then they know that Judgment Day is coming so that they can prepare. But a lot of them basically say, if something along the lines of like, the poor idol worshiping goyim, if they would just wake up, or maybe not even that. Usually it's just like, the goyim are doomed because they have no clue even what or who God is, let alone any hope to do teshuva. But for anyone that hears this, that is certainly not the case. You at least have the opportunity to hear and know what and who God is, and what He certainly isn't. He's not a man, and He is the God that took the Jews out of Egypt. And everyone can do teshuva. And we all absolutely have to. If we don't want, if we don't want to get absolutely destroyed and get a gnome, and or get paid by God in this world to destroy us for whatever whatever merits we may have amassed. That's one thing I was thinking about, the stuff that most people think is nice and good, like air conditioning and Amazon Prime next day deliver, same day delivery, depending on where you are. For whatever, everything from food to home electronics, and endless mountains of brain numbing, brainwashing, what people call entertainment, and mind altering chemicals, and alcohol and drugs, and endless physical pleasures that not even like a millionth of were ever available to anyone but like, and even a lot of the things that we have today, even the poorest people, were never available to anyone at all ever, not even the wealthiest kings. And so if a person is not righteous and they do nothing but seek pleasure all day and enjoy from this world, is not a good sign at all. It's a sign that you probably have almost no merits, and you're getting paid in this world, so God never has to see you again. But don't lose hope. There's always a chance to see the truth and turn it around before you go off the cliff into the pit of hell. You gotta learn. You gotta apply what you learn to your life. And just as important, if not more important, you gotta beg God for help. Because if you beg God for help and you really mean it, He'll give you all the help you need. I'm certainly living proof of that one. You gotta do something. You gotta try. And you gotta fight. Not with your fists or with a gun. You gotta fight. You gotta fight Satan. And the Yetzirah that's inside all our hearts. We all have the ability to overpower if we just learn and try, and always ask God for help. The Yetzirah is so incredibly sneaky, though. And he has virtually endless tools at his disposal. So we always have to be cautious and extremely humble to not ever think that we have anything very solid. You know, life is a very, very challenging thing a lot of times. To hold all this stuff, in your heart, so that you're scared to death, but still hold all the amazing wonders at the same time, and all the good, and to have the scales balanced, so you don't teeter too far in either direction. To think that something stupid like God is love and God understands everyone. And also, to have the fear be a motivator, and not something that just paralyzes you into sheer terror and like a mental breakdown. I certainly kind of felt like that for me for a while. But God is so awesome. If you really try, it won't let you hang there for too long. But you gotta work on the basics first. Try not to be an animal, or worse than an animal. Try not to be angry. Try not to be try not to pollute the tools that God gave us to ask for blessings. Namely, don't talk about filth, and don't swear, and don't speak lashon hara. If a person does that, they pretty much destroy their mouths and their words. And why would God want to even listen to a person's prayers if all 99% of what comes out of them is just absolute disgusting garbage? Try to not do the things that God doesn't like don't be a part of immodesty, or don't be proud, don't be ungrateful. Let's just start the day with not being ungrateful by thanking God for another day in the world. And don't do drugs, or don't destroy the body, because it's not our body. God just loans it to us. But doing drugs is far worse than getting a tattoo, or even smoking. Because not only does it destroy the body, which is one sin, but it also severs any connection a person might have of, with God. Severs any hope of ever having any emunah or bitachon, any faith or trust in God. That's one of the reasons why the sons of Aaron were I can't remember if the Torah says killed or died, but they were consumed by a by a fire. One of the reasons why the sages say why we know that is because of the proximity. Like the very next thing, I think I can't remember if it's in the same Torah portion or the start. I think it might be the start of the very next Torah portion or the next chapter. The sons of Aaron die, and then God tells Aaron to be sure not to drink wine when he goes into the Mishkan, into the tabernacle to perform the ceremonies and burn the incense and make the sacrifices. So the sages say, one, they ask the question is like, why does this come out of like nowhere? One, they know that nothing just comes out of nowhere for no reason. There's always a reason. And there's always a reason for like the proximity that everything has in the Torah. Like Shabbat and idol worship, they're like the two polar opposites. With I think identical punishments for transgressing. Like Shabbat is a positive commandment, and worshiping idols is a negative commandment. You shall not. Lo. One thing I've been wanting to talk about is the source of everything good, which is the Torah. Oh, and something I think I cut off the other, like a week ago, Friday or something like that, when I just made this short stream about the starting of Elul and um, not doing drugs and um, one, a person can find mercy in the most dark corners. If they really look hard. People that have like severe suffering have a huge advantage over people with what people consider normal lives, because people that don't have that have no motivator to drive them to God. Like, if everything's fine, what would be the cause for you to change? Why would you change if everything was, if you thought everything was fine? People only change when something is wrong or when they perceive something's wrong. So, a person that goes through some kind of horrible physical ailment or, uh, an injury or an accident or a debilitating addiction. They have a huge opportunity. But addicts have more of an opportunity than I think anyone else. So at least once they've at least been through recovery and taking it seriously, that was the amazing thing. Like once I started to learn about Teshuvah, I was like, hey, I've heard this before. Pretty much all the recovery programs all took like parts and pieces of Teshuvah. Obviously, the secular science based arrogant program is much less than the blue book, that's based on idolatry. But that's the other amazing thing is that once a person learns enough Torah, they realize that there's no recovery program that's kosher. Or at least nothing that's like widespread and easily available. I've been trying to find one, and there's like maybe 4, and they're only for Jews, and they're only like 2 or 3 cities, and they're like microscopically small. So it forces you, even closer to God, because you really have no other place where you can really go where anyone's really gonna like. So you're a Jew, but you're not a Jew. How's that work? Why do you dress? You just look like a normal person, and like no one's like gonna no one's gonna understand anything unless they're going through the exact same thing you are. But all the good stuff in the entire world all has a source in the Torah. Everything from how to raise kids, how to have a productive relationship with your wife or your business partner, how to get off drugs, how to not be an angry monster. How to be at peace with moles and squirrels that destroy parts of the garden. That's one thing that is it's been a great test for both my flawed Mido and my flawed character traits, and to try to flex my Emunah is I'll be out doing something and the moth will come and mock me. And instantly I think, well, the first thing is like, come on, man, why? And then right after this, it's that goes away pretty quick, and it's like, God, please, I know this is you testing me. Please, please let this food that you've let come out of the ground not get totally gone to waste and consumed by destructive creatures. And if you do answer that prayer, please help me to not let it go to waste. Please remind me and grant me the motivation and strength to just save it from those creatures when the time comes, so it can strengthen the body. And then the squirrels and the moles and then the weeds reminding me that there's still a lot of work to do. Like everything, I picked like probably over 1,000 weeds out of this one bed all spring. I got it to where it looked fairly decent. There's barely any weeds growing out of it, and they were certainly manageable. And then I harvested the garlic and planted some carrots, and they sprouted up, thank God. And then so did 100 weeds. Back to work. Picking the weeds out of my mind, and out of the garden. I hope God grants me my front deltoids the strength to be able to pick all the weeds that need picked. Somehow I've had the strength to water everything and not become too crippled. I can still move the mouse on the computer around to get work done. So that is awesome. But at the end of this spring, I think picking weeds, my front delts were really worn out. But hopefully I can take better care of my central nervous system from here on out. Because that seems to be a huge factor as far as the body falling apart, or feeling like it is anyway. Health is super important. But as part of my teshuvah for destroying my own body, I can't can't tell you to or I can't make you do anything. But doing drugs is a recipe to just drive yourself right into the dirt, and you're gonna pay the price for a long time. Like everything, if you're young and stupid, like I was, you're probably severely brainwashed, if you're doing drugs. And just don't think life is worth living sober. But really, once you are, you will, especially when you learn Torah and you do Teshuvah, you will not ever want to go back, not ever. But the one part about recovery is you have to work a program. You can't just white knuckle it because, like I said, everything good has a source. It comes from everything is from a Torah that's good. You can't just, drugs are sins basically, and everything is, essentially, every sin is essentially, can be treated the same way, and a person can't just white knuckle, and hope to not sin. And you have to run from evil. That's the first part, but you have to do good. If you don't fill your mind and your soul and your life with good, which is Torah, there's no hope of having it, having it be maintained. So the best recovery program is God's recovery program, which is learning the Torah and doing it and doing Teshuvah. But the I think it's 4 basic steps: is stop the sin, and then build a fence around the sin so you do not sin again. And if your sin that you're concerned with is drugs, then you put fences up in order to ensure that you do not transgress the sins again. And then after you stop somewhere, one of the like critical steps is to beg God for forgiveness. But the Rambam says step 3 is to feel sorry, which is in a person's most people's own mind, you would think saying sorry and asking for forgiveness would be like step 1 or 2, but step 1 is you got to stop first. You can't like be sorry and ask for forgiveness while you're like in the middle of getting high or wasting seed or stealing, or whatever other horrible crime that a person may commit. So you got to stop first, and then you got to build the fence to not sin again, so God knows you're serious. And then you once you have some time away from the sin, then you can kind of smell fresh air. And then when you get close to the sin again, you smell how disgusting and filthy and rotten it is. Only then you can really be sorry and ask for true forgiveness. And then step 4 is committing to never commit the sin again. And part of that is learning about the sin and the punishment for it, and you know everything that surrounds it. So, like for drugs, you know, like I said before, you're destroying the body, which is not yours. So, one, you're ungrateful. Two, you're just a destructive creature. So you're really no better than a maggot or a rat or a mouse. At least until we do teshuva, then we're not that disgusting, filthy animal anymore. We're brand new, wearing freshly laundered garments and anointed with oil, ready to stand before God with His infinite help. It's late. I'm gonna get going. I need to sleep. But hopefully everyone's taking this seriously. If you take it seriously, God will take you seriously. And I cannot convey with words how important and how amazing it is once you do it. It is just unfathomable. Not that life is just magically easy, but the hard times are so much easier and have a purpose. And in times where you can connect to God and like really connect by by learning and doing the Torah, putting it into practice. It is just amazing. More than silver and more than gold, more than all the pleasure in the world, because it's real. Don't wait another year. You may not have another year. Hopefully, we can all, with God's help and His mercy, hopefully we can all merit. Hopefully, we can all do complete teshuva and merit another year in the world to try to fulfill His will. For once in our lives. Talk to you guys soon.